Hi there. I'd like to show you how to make fire cider. This is sort of like an old folk remedy that's been around for many years and is quite popular now. So I thought I'd show you how to make this because it's pretty easy. And what it does is it helps you fight colds and flus. This is what it's been known for. What you would do is make the fire cider, and then if you felt a cold or the flu coming on, you would have maybe an ounce, which is about 2 tablespoons of the liquid that we're going to create here 3 or 4 times a day to just sort of fight it off. And the reason it's so good for fighting colds and flus is because of what's in it. So it's got apple cider vinegar. We got about a cup and a half there. We have the juice of 2 oranges, which worked out to be about 2/3 of a cup. We have a tablespoon and a half of turmeric. And as a caution, if you're going to use turmeric like this, which is freshly grated, you might want to avoid touching it because it turns your skin yellow like it did mine. And we've got a quarter of a cup of fresh horseradish. We've got a quarter of a cup fresh ginger, tablespoon and a half of garlic, and we have 1 jalapeno pepper plus a quarter cup of onions. So that's basically it. We're going to add a little bit of rosemary and thyme as well, and a little bit of black pepper. But other than that, there's not much to it. And the only ingredient that's missing is honey. So you could put in a quarter cup of honey after this has sat for a couple of weeks. So there's nothing much to this. We're literally going to put everything into the jar. I've got a mason jar here that's about 1 liter or 1 quart. So I'm just going to stick everything in. And the reason I'm going with shredded horseradish and ginger and shredded turmeric, because I could have used the powder, but it makes it really easy to strain out when it's ready so that you just have the liquid left. Now you could use the powder if you can't get fresh turmeric root. That's okay, but you will have a little bit of powder residue in the bottom, which you could strain out if you had a very fine mesh sieve. Otherwise, it's not a big deal that it's in there. So we've put everything in. And then all we have to do is add the cider vinegar. So this is apple cider vinegar with mother. And then we're going to add the orange juice. And then we're going to put the lid on like this, tightly. Now, you want to give it a bit of a shake, but you don't want to shake it too much so that it touches the top of the rim, because the vinegar could rust it a bit. It's hard to say that it would do that because you do have the plastic lining, but just to be on the safe side, you could put a little piece of parchment paper in there as well, but if you don't want to do that, just give it a little shake like I did, and then you don't have a problem. So if you're wondering what you do with fire cider, like I said, you can drink it straight. You do that first thing in the morning, trust me, all the cobwebs will clear. Everything will be alive and alert because it's going to have quite a bite to it. Or you could add it to soups. You could add it as part of a salad dressing, like to replace the vinegar in a salad dressing. There's many things that you can do with it. You can actually warm it up as a tea and kind of use it as a, sort of the steam coming off the tea. You can breathe it in as a decongestant. A lot of things you can do with this. So we're going to let this sit for 2 weeks. 2 to 4 weeks is usually the recommended amount of time. And what's happening is that all the nutrients in here are going to get potentiated. So this isn't like traditional fermentation where you're using a salt brine and you're lacto fermenting, because this has acetic acid from the vinegar. It's already fermented. It doesn't require any salt because of that. The acid from the vinegar will prevent bacteria from growing. But what's going to happen is the bacteria that's in the vinegar is going to help potentiate the nutrients that are in the turmeric and the garlic and the onions and the horseradish and the ginger, as well as the jalapeno. And the reason this is of interest to me is because, so yeah, those are all great for colds and flus, but garlic and ginger and turmeric are big anti-inflammatories. They have anti-cancer properties. Even jalapeno is anti-inflammatory, onions anti-inflammatory. So this could be the kind of thing you could use on a daily basis to help with inflammation, help just, as a preventative, and it's tasty. So if you like stuff that's a little spicy, this is very tasty. And so it's a great way to get sort of the benefits of these nutrients without having to always think of ways to cook with them. And I think it's just a great idea. So that's what we've got for now, and we'll check back on it in 2 weeks. I did forget to mention the pepper. So what we can do, you can put it in now if you like. You can put it in 2 to 4 weeks. It doesn't matter. What the pepper is going to do is actually help you absorb the nutrients from the turmeric and the other foods in here better after you consume it. So black pepper actually aids that. And you might as well, you can put the rosemary in now or you can put it in later. So we might as well throw that in. It's just giving it a bit of flavor. It's very nice. And then you just want to mix that in. And now we're going to let it sit for 2 weeks. And there we have it. It's now been 2 weeks since we put all the ingredients together for the fire cider. And now all we have to do is open the jar, strain out the ingredients, now depending on how fine mesh your strainer is, most of everything will be caught. I can see there's a few of the herbs here that have made it into the cider itself, which is fine. That's not a big deal. And then all we're going to do is add a 1/4 cup of honey. And I can smell this from here. It smells amazing. I can smell the garlic, I can smell the ginger, I can smell the vinegar. So the honey amount, I put in a 1/4 cup for this particular batch. And you can do this for the amount that tastes good to you. So you don't have to stick with a 1/4 cup, or you can use less if you like. And then once that's all mixed in, you just have to transfer it back to a jar with a lid and put it in the fridge. It doesn't really need to be refrigerated, but I always like to keep things in the fridge just in case. With all the vinegar that's in there, nothing much is going to happen to it. And so then you can use this any way you like. I take some just about every day. It's helpful for the immune system and preventing colds and flus and things like that. And it's just extra nutrients for you. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, you can add it to salad dressings and soups and anything you want. You're just giving some really good nutrients for the immune system, for the gut, for digestion. They're all in here, and it's kind of a cool little I don't want to call it a beverage because it's not a beverage. You're not going to drink a glass of it. It's just a cool little supplement made from food.